Niranjana Shalakaya Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. So today we shall be discussing text 32 to 35 from the 5th chapter of the first canto of Bhagavatam, which mainly discuss about the surrender, the real meaning of surrender, and the causes of misery. So text 32 is Etat samsuchitam brahmam tapatraya chikitsitam yadishvare bhagavati karma brahmani bhavitam. O Brahmana Vyasdev, it is decided by the learned that the best remedial measure for removing all troubles and miseries is to dedicate one's activities to the service of the Supreme Lord, Personality of Godhead, Shri Krishna. So, because Vyasdev has compiled the different Puranas and different scriptures, keeping the welfare of people in the mind, here Narada Muni is actually explaining to Vyasdev that the real remedial measure or the real medicine for all evils in this world is to glorify the activities of the Supreme Lord. When a person engages in devotional service of the Supreme Lord, then all his miseries are terminated. Otherwise, the living entity will continue to suffer lifetime after lifetime. There's no redemption from the miseries of material existence. So to hear submissively the transcendental activities of the Lord from the right source, a bona fide spiritual master, that is the real remedial measure. Now, when we talk about hearing from a right bona fide source, one has to understand who is actually the bona fide source, or in other words, who is a bona fide spiritual master. Because miseries of material existence cannot be removed unless a person actually starts hearing from the right source. It's just like if I have some medical problem, say I have stomach problem. I remember in my childhood I used to have a lot of problem with my breathing. My nose will always be clogged, and I had a lot of difficulty in breathing. And whenever I went to doctors, different doctors, they would say, oh, all you need to do is just take this medicine. I would take the medicine, but nothing would happen. My problem would continue as it is. I asked them, is there anything I need to refrain from eating? No, you can continue eating whatever you're eating. No problem. They didn't even care to know what I was eating. And my problem never went away. I continued to suffer. Till the time when I actually joined the ISKCON temple and I joined the Brahmacharya ashram, then I stopped eating The cold things, I used to eat a lot of cold, like ice creams, milkshake. Every single day in the night, we used to drink milkshake. The milk rose actually, rose milk. So it would be filled with so much ice, whether it's winter, summer, monsoon season, always, every night we used to drink that. And all that stopped once I joined the ashram. And automatically all my breathing problem, everything disappeared without any medication. So if you go to even a person who's stamped as a doctor, who may have a degree also from the reputed institute, but if he is not a right person, he doesn't have the right understanding of the disease, they'll not be able to help you. The misery will continue. So therefore, it is said here, right and bona fide source. If you end up in hearing from a person who is just stamped as a saintly person without having the proper understanding of what will really eradicate the miseries of material existence, then it will have no effect. You'll continue to suffer. So it is very crucial to hear from a bona fide source, because the bona fide spiritual master can give a proper remedial measure. He can give the true process to eradicate all the miseries of material existence. Without the sanction of Lord, no plan or no remedial measure can act or can bring about the desired peace and tranquility in the society. Srila Prabhupada, when he came to New York City, the devotees, they were driving him through the New York City, and then they were passing by from the United Nations building. And they told Prabhupada, just see United Nations, so many flags, so many countries are actually getting inspired to join United Nations. And Prabhupada immediately said, more flags means more disunity. There is no United Nations. All the effort that they are putting, they will all fail. Prabhupada said, our ISKCON society is the real United Nations. Because people from different countries, different religious background, different caste, different skin colors, they all come together in union with a common cause of serving Krishna. And therefore there is no differences. There are no quarrels. But actually mentioned that more flags means more disunity. More flags means more selfish agendas, which actually makes perfect sense. So it is very crucial. Unless we keep Krishna in the center, no remedial measures will bring any good result. We must dedicate our attempts to the mercy of the Lord. For the ultimate success, to get rid of all the obstacles on the path of success, we must actually dedicate our actions in the service of the Lord. Bhaktivinoda Thakur has written a beautiful song. He says, so that what song says? Nija bala cheshta prati bharasa chhadiya. Nija bala cheshta prati bharasa chhadiya. Tomara upare nirbhara rohiya. Nija bala means one's own strength. People in this world are very much, very much relying on their own efforts. Just give me a second. People in this world are very much, relying on their own efforts. They like to rely on their own endeavor. So that is not going to help anyone, because our endeavor will not bring any success until it is sanctioned by the Supreme Lord. So therefore, the beautiful lecture by Srila Prabhupada says, let us declare our dependence on God. This coming next week, we have Independence Day. Every nation has one Independence Day. Like in Pakistan, they have 14th of August. India, they have 15th August. US has 4th of July. So every nation has one Independence Day. They celebrate that we were, relieved or redeemed from the foreign rule. But actually speaking, there is no independence in this material existence. In fact, living entity can never be independent. Living entity is called Tatastha Shakti. Tatastha Shakti means marginal potency of the Lord. It literally means a living entity, a Tatastha Shakti, can never be independent. We do have minute independence, only to choose whether we want to be under Krishna's Bahiranga Shakti, that is illusory energy, or Krishna's Antaranga Shakti, Krishna's Yogamaya Shakti. That much choice only we have. But we can never be independent. At any stage, no one can ever be independent. Independence is only an illusion. We have minute free will to choose whether we want to be subordinate to Krishna or we want to be subordinate to Krishna's Maya Shakti. If we remain under Krishna's Maya Shakti, then the Maya Shakti is a merciless master. She torments each and every living entity. No matter how powerful a person is, the material nature does not let anyone to live happily in this world. People generally, conditioned soul foolishly thinks, if I make this adjustment or that adjustment, then my life will be comfortable. Oh, because I do not have enough money, therefore I'm miserable. But people who have enough money, they are also miserable. Oh, I don't have, a good family. But those people who have a good family, they are also miserable. A person may have good family but not good health, then he suffers. A person may have good family and good health but doesn't have, sufficient intelligence, then he gets exploited, he suffers. A person may have good family, good wealth, good intelligence, doesn't have good health, suffers. There are so many venues in this world which actually brings suffering for us. Like, take this body, for example. In this entire body, how many places are actually there for enjoyment in this body? And how many portions of the body are potentially capable of giving us misery? Each and every limb of our body can potentially give us immense misery. I like to see with eyes. If I look at some beautiful object, look at a beautiful lady, I feel happy. A small dust particle goes into the eyes, it makes me miserable. We can hear nice music or songs from the ears. Little bit water droplet goes inside the ear. It bothers us so much. Even a small cotton swab goes inside the ears. it can make a person completely restless. You're walking, sometimes your foot hits the corner of a table, you feel immense pain. You're eating nice foodstuff, sometimes your tongue comes between the teeth and it gets bitten by your own teeth. It brings such immense misery. So it is actually foolishness to think that by making adjustment in this world, I can be happy. But everyone has independence to choose whether they want to be under Krishna's care or they want to be under Maya's subjugation. So this is actually a very important principle. And if we decide to put ourselves under Krishna's care, we should know that Krishna is all-pervading, all-powerful, omniscient, omnipresent. That means it's never going to be that Krishna will not be aware of my condition and will not be capable of removing all the distress of my life. All we need to do is just put ourselves under the care of Krishna, because he's all-powerful. Nobody is more powerful than Krishna. That means Krishna can actually remove or eradicate all the difficulties, all the problems of a person's life. Hiranyakashipu, he performed such severe austerities. He performed such severe austerities in order to become powerful. And Prahlad didn't do any austerities. He was simply remembering Lord Krishna all the time. But when there was a conflict between Hiranyakashipu and Prahlad Maharaj came victorious. Hiranyakashipu tried in so many ways to torment and kill Prahlad, but he couldn't. And, ultimately with all the benedictions, all the austerity that he had done was made null and void by Nrsimha's appearance and killing him. So he struggled so much to conquer the whole universe, to subjugate all the demigods, and to conquer the kingdom of the entire universe. And Prahlad Maharaj, simply by taking shelter of Krishna, he received everything. His most powerful enemy, which even demigods were afraid of, his own father, was killed by Lord Nrsimha. So, the Supreme Lord, he is all powerful, he is all pervading, he is omniscient, and he is omnipresent. Therefore, he can never be unaware of our condition. So, for this reason, one must dedicate their efforts in the devotional service of the Lord. Doesn't matter what profession or what walk of life we are from. We may be scientist, philosopher, poet, or a writer. We can employ all our efforts to establish the supremacy of the God, to teach everyone that Krishna is actually the supreme Lord, the Lord of all living entities. And it's our duty to render devotional service to him. So, what Narada Muni is actually teaching to Vyasadeva is the absolute truth coming from the scriptures. It is not some mental concoction of Narada. Text 33. Amyonyascha bhutanam jayate yena suvrata tadeva hi amayam dravyam na punati chikitsitam. O good soul, does not a thing applied therapeutically cure a disease which was caused by that very same thing? So here, Narada Muni is taking an example of, say for example, if somebody takes a lot of milk, it causes diarrhea. Then a person who has diarrhea can take another form of milk, the yogurt, and cure the diarrhea. So in the material world, everyone is more or less suffering because of uh, their desires and their activities which are driven by their desires. So the desires and actions, these are the two things which are cause of bondage for the living entities. And the same thing, the desire and action, can become the cause of liberation for the living entity. So when a person learns to desire to serve the Supreme Lord by all their efforts, a person learns to serve the Supreme Lord and adopts appropriate actions to serve the Lord and his devotees. The same actions and desires become the cause of one's bondage, liberation from material existence. Like if a person is fond of accumulating wealth, and building nice skyscraper building or some nice palatial home, may develop a desire to build a beautiful temple for the Supreme Lord, a temple of Lord Vishnu. And by working very hard, trying to accumulate more and more money to build a nice temple of Vishnu, that endeavor will make a person be relieved from the clutches of Maya and go back home, back to Godhead. And it's said in the scriptures, the person who builds a Vishnu temple will never come back to this material world again. So it's very crucial and important that we learn to develop desires to keep Krishna in the center and serve Krishna. Doesn't matter what kind of desire we have. If a person is very much fond of eating different varieties of food stuff, he can learn to offer, different varieties of food stuff to Krishna. Cook and offer nicely preparations to Krishna. And then that same eating will cause the person go back home, back to God. Srila Prabhupada actually said, we can simply eat and go back home, back to God if we eat Krishna Prasad. If we are eating the food stuff which are offered to Krishna, we don't eat anything else but Krishna Prasad, then our going back to God is guaranteed. So therefore, Narada Muni is saying here, the same thing which is causing disease can become the cause of curing the disease when applied properly under the direction of a medical practitioner, a physician. So physician's direction is very crucial and important. One who is suffering from diarrhea because of indulging in too much drinking milk or eating a lot of milk sweets may think, okay, Bhagavatam says I can take the same milk and cure my disease. Start taking more milk, it will cause him more harm, more disease. But when he takes the direction from a physician, yes, you take the milk, but milk which is transformed as yogurt, or milk which is transformed as ghee. If you take that, that will cure your diarrhea. So, direction of the spiritual master is very crucial. One need not have to give up anything. One need to only learn from the guidance of spiritual master how to utilize everything in Krishna's service. Text 34. Evam nrinam kriya yoga sarve samsriti hetava the evatma vinashaya kalpante kalpita pare. Thus, when all a man's activities are dedicated to the service of the Lord, those very activities which cause his perpetual bondage become the destroyer of the tree of work. So here Narada Muni is pinpointing, continuing from the previous verse, how the same thing which is causing bondage can become cause of liberation. Narada Muni is talking here about karma. Karma and vikarma is a kind of bondage for a living entity. But same karma, when it is dedicated to Krishna, becomes the cause of liberation. So as long as the propensity for enjoying the result of work is there, one must continue to suffer the repeated birth and death in this world. Based on one's karma, one must continue to take different bodies. Shankaracharya says, Punarapi janama, punarapi maranam, punarapi janani jathare shena. A person who is fond of performing fruitive activities, that person will again and again enter into the womb of his mother, another mother. Punarapi janama, punarapi maranam. Again he will be born, again he will die. And punarapi janani jathare shena. Again he will lie down in the belly of his mother. And that's how the birth takes place in this world. So it is actually a crucial factor which is being explained by Narada Muni. This is the technique for getting out from the material existence. Okay. Now, when the result of all the fruitive work is doubted into the service of the Lord, it will cease to generate further karma. It will gradually develop into transcendental devotional service. So every activity that we do, it creates a seed of some any fruitive activity that is performed. That generates the seed, which must develop into a tree or a creeper and bear the fruit. And the person who generated that seed must enjoy the fruit. So every time we adopt a particular activity, an activity again of three kinds: karmana, manasa, vacha. The activity could be actually a physical action, it could be a mental activity, thought in the mind, or it could be actually the words spoken. So the karma which is done in terms of karmana, manasa, vacha generates a seed of karma that constitutes karma, and that seed will gradually fructify. Like, say for example, the president of a country says, okay, let's initiate a war with this country. So he didn't go actually to conduct the war, but he gave instruction. So he uses words, and those words are implicating. A person may think, oh, I didn't go to war, I didn't kill anyone. No. The very fact your words initiated the war, you are 100% responsible for that. So everyone in this world has to enjoy or suffer the fruits of one's karma. But when a person dedicates their karma or their activities to Krishna, those activities do not produce any seeds of karma to be enjoyed or suffered by the person. So this is the important principle. So such activity, they are called akarma. Akaro, then the word a, the letter in as a prefix to karma negates. Is used in the sense of negation. So no karma, no more karma. A person is not going to be bound by any of his activities. Like Arjuna is killing so many people on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, but he's not liable for killing because he is doing it under the order of Krishna. So this whole process depends on seeking the association of pure devotee and learn from him. Take the guidance from a pure devotee of the Lord, how to adopt the process of karma or devotional service. So in this way, even a person who is a beginner or a neophyte can actually gradually elevate himself simply by engaging in the devotional service, loving devotional service, serving under the guidance of a pure devotee, physically and mentally. One will be actually elevated to the platform of pure devotee. So this service attitude, will induce the great soul to be more favorable in bestowing their mercy. Just like Narada Muni, he was serving all the Bhakti Vedantas, all these great sages, and they became merciful to him. And they gave him their remnants and also the necessary wisdom and knowledge. So much so that even though at that very tender age, when he lost his mother, Narada Muni was not bewildered. In fact, he became detached from everything. When his mother died, he actually started traveling all over the world, fearlessly. So this is the process. One has to accept the guidance from a bona fide guru and under his guidance practice devotional service, which will destroy all the karma. So this gradual, progress in Krishna consciousness is possible simply by the process of hearing and chanting. So this association of devotees is very, very powerful via media. So there's a beautiful example, in Chaitanya Charitamrita about one of the hunters. How even a very cruel hunter who used to kill the animals with great torment. Killing the animal for the food is one thing, but tormenting the animal and feeling great delight is completely different thing. Like here in US, there are people who actually maybe meat eaters, but they very much are part of the movement of treating the animals rightly. So they say, okay, you can kill the animal and eat it, but treat the animal with respect. Now, whereas, this it seems to be contradictory, but, where is the respect? It's kind of a hypocrisy. But still, they feel moved that when they see that how animals are actually mistreated in slaughterhouses, unnecessarily tormented, they feel moved. They think, okay, we are killing the animal for food, there's nothing wrong with that, but they should not be tormented, they should not be treated like this. Remember, we used to live in East Coast, New Vrindavan, used to go to sometime, on the highway there was a store, one of the exit had a store called Cabela's. And this Cabela store is the store dedicated for all the hunting paraphernalia. People who are fond of hunting, that means killing the animals, All the different kinds of paraphernalia you can find in that store. It's a very huge store, almost like, even bigger than, the Walmart, a big size of Walmart, much bigger than that. 2 stories. It was a 2 stories, store, and very huge. And the interesting thing is, in that store, there was a big section which was dedicated to aquarium. All different kinds of fishes they were stored, and even more interesting thing I found was, right next to that aquarium, they had a desk or a kiosk which was accepting donations for preserving wildlife, support wildlife. And I was shocked. This whole store is dedicated for killing the animals, and they are having a section here to accept the donation to support the wildlife, to preserve the wildlife. Why? So that we can shoot and kill them. We can entertain ourselves by killing them. So this is more or less kind of a hypocrisy, but this is demoniac nature. We preserve everything for our own enjoyment. So similarly, this hunter, he was killing the animals not just for the food, but for entertainment. He felt delighted seeing the animals being tormented. He would not just shoot an arrow and kill the animal. He would shoot the arrow in such a way that hits the animal in a way that animal would not die. But the animal would suffer, scream, and he would feel greatly happy on that. So one day Narada Muni was passing from the forest and he saw all the animals half dead. So Narada Muni felt compassion on all these animals being so tormented. So he approached this hunter and he asked this hunter, "My dear sir," and the hunter, when he saw Narada Muni coming, all the animals actually got scared and ran away. So the hunter was very much disturbed. He wanted to speak some abusive word to Narada Muni, but because by seeing Narada Muni, because he was a hunter anyway, so he didn't have any respect or anything. But seeing the demeanor of Narada Muni, he couldn't speak some bad words. But he was angry. He said, "My dear sir, why are you coming this way? Because of you, all my animals are running away." Narada Muni said, "I came because I needed to ask you something." He said, "Yes, tell me, what do you want to ask?" "I saw so many animals half dead. Do they belong to you?" He said, "Yes, they belong to me. I have killed them." So Narada said, "I have one question to ask you. I want to ask you something." And I didn't say question. He said, "I want to ask you something." He said, the hunter said, "Okay, what do you want to ask? Do you want a deer skin or a tiger skin? I can give you." Because the hunters, they knew that saintly person, they generally need a deer skin or they need a tiger skin for their sitting place. Now they no, I don't want tiger skin or deer skin. I just wanted to ask you one thing, that why you are killing these animals half dead? Why don't you kill them fully? So hunter said, "Well, that's how I've been trained. My father taught me like this. When I see the animals suffering and screaming in pain, it gives me great joy. I feel so happy." And Narmi said, "I want to beg you only one thing." He said, "Okay, tell me what you want to beg. Any deer skin?" He said, No deer skin. I want to beg you only one thing. From today onwards, kill the animals instantly. Don't kill them half like this." So hunter got a little amazed. He said, "Tell me one thing. What is the difference? What difference does it really make whether I kill them half or full? Eventually, they all die. I kill them anyway. But I feel entertained when I see them suffering." Narni said, you see, it's your profession to kill the animals, so there's nothing you can do about it. But when you are tormenting them like this, it's unnecessarily increasing your karma. These animals will torment you in the same way. And saying this, Narad Muni actually gave a kind of a vision by which he could see that how after death he would be tormented. He'll be taken to Yamloka and he'll be tormented by these same animals whom he had killed. So when Hunter saw this, he became so scared. He fell at the feet of Narad. He said, my dear sir, please teach me. Tell me how I can be relieved from this fearful situation. I didn't know. I was doing it because I was taught like that. So Narad Muni, he told him, first you break your bow. He said, if I break my bow, then how will I maintain my family? How would I eat? What would I eat? Narad said, don't worry. I will make sure that you get sufficient food for yourself and your family. So the hunter broke the bow. This is very crucial thing. So Narada Muni told the hunter to break the bow, which was the source of his livelihood. It was not easy for the hunter, but he did it. And because he did it, Narada Muni felt compassion. He felt very happy. So he told him, you sit down here in this place and simply chant Hare Krishna. So hunter, he started doing it. He actually became a Vaishnava. He started chanting Hare Krishna. So people in the nearby village, they heard that, oh, hunter has become a Vaishnava. He has become a saintly person. So they were all coming to see him. And in India, especially, it's a tradition when you go to see a saintly person, you always take some gifts. So people were coming with rice and wheat flour and vegetables, grains and beans. They were bringing all the things. So much so that the hunter, he had in abundance, everything in abundance. So he was thinking, oh, my Guru Maharaj is sending me so much food. He said that he will send me sufficient for the family, but he's sending me so much overstock. So he started praying to Narad, my dear Guru, my dear Gurudev, please don't send me so much. If this is too much, into a lot of an abundance. So anyway, he became a wonderful Vaishnava. After some time, Narad Muni was passing with, one of his companion, Parvat Muni. Parvat Muni and Narad Muni both were passing from that path. And Narad Muni said, I have one of my disciple here. Let's, go and see him. So they both came. And the hunter, he saw from the distance Narad Muni coming. He started running to his Guru. But on the way, he was jumping this way and that way. And then he came near Narad Muni. He was about to offer obeisance, then he stopped. He took his upper garment and started cleaning the ground. And then he offered obeisances. So Narad Muni said, wait a minute. I want to ask you, when you're coming towards me, you were, jumping this way and that way. And when you even bow down, you clean the ground. Can I ask you, why are you doing all this? The hunter said, my dear Gurudev, when I was coming to you, I saw so many ants crawling on the ground, so I didn't want to trample them. And when I wanted to offer you obeisance, there were so many ants on the ground. I was afraid that they'll be crushed under me. So therefore, I just cleaned the ground first, swept them away so that they will not be harmed. So Parvat Muni, when he heard this, he was amazed. He said to Narada Muni that just see the power of association of saintly persons like you, Narada. Even the most cruel-hearted hunter who was fond of seeing the animals being tormented can't even hurt an ant. Is not willing to hurt an ant. Now just imagine when we walk on the road, How many times we are conscious that we shouldn't be trampling over the ants? And here's the hunter who was actually fond of tormenting the animals, is not willing to even trample one ant under his feet. So this is the transformation that happens by the mercy of the pure devotee of the Lord. Text 35. Yadatra kriyate karma bhagavat paritoshanam jnanam yattad adhinam hi bhakti yoga samanvitam. Whatever work is done here in this life for the satisfaction of the mission of the Lord is called bhakti yoga, or transcendental loving service to the Lord. And what is called knowledge becomes a concomitant factor. So, bhakti yoga is considered by some people to be another form of karma. But factually, bhakti yoga is above karma and jnana. Because bhakti yoga entails performing devotional service. So apparently there is some activity, there is some action. So some people think, oh, bhakti yoga is also nothing but karma yoga only. But no, there's a lot of difference between karma yoga and bhakti yoga. A karma yogi may be doing an activity. Say, for example, a karma yogi may be, working hard to do some business or going to office to do some job to earn some money. And a pure devotee of Lord may also be doing the same thing, doing some business to get some money. In fact, there's a tremendous difference between the two. The person who is, working very hard simply for self-gratification, he is a karmi. He's not even a karma yogi, he's karmi. He is bound by the actions. Whatever activity the person is performing, he's being bound by that to suffer and enjoy the different results of his activities. And on the other hand, a karma yogi who's performing the activity as a selfless service will not be entitled for any good or bad results of his karma. He will be liberated from the results of his karma. But a devotee of the Lord, when he performs the same activity which a karmi might be doing or karma yogi might be doing, that activity is simply an expression of his love for the Supreme Lord. And therefore, there's a complete contrast between the result of the activities performed, same activity performed by the different persons. Actually, in Ayurveda, if two people went to a doctor or a physician with exactly same symptoms, they both say, for example, have stomach pain. If you go to modern doctors, they'll give you practically same medication. After doing analysis, they will probably give you same medication. But an Ayurvedic physician, who is very expert at Nadi Pariksha, he may give completely different set of medicines, analyzing and realizing that both the people have different degree of intensity of problem and different kind of problem they have, though the symptoms are same, but the problem is different and the intensity of problem is different. So the treatment may be completely different. So this is very crucial. Similarly, a person may be performing same activity. A karma yogi and a devotee may be performing same activity. But the action of a devotee is bhakti. It's not karma or jnana. It's above karma and jnana. It's bhakti. That activity is bringing the person more closer to Krishna in a loving relationship. Every action of a devotee brings him closer to Krishna. So therefore, bhakti yoga is independent of karma and jnana. But karma and jnana cannot give a result without being mixed with bhakti. So a karma yogi cannot expect the good result, a substantially fruitful result, without mixing some bhakti. And similarly, jnani also cannot attain perfection of his endeavor in jnana until he takes shelter of bhakti. So karma and jnana are dependent on bhakti, but bhakti is completely independent. So this bhakti yoga is being recommended by Narada Muni to Vyasdev. So because this process will satisfy the Supreme Lord. So, and it's also the easiest way to purify oneself from all the material contamination. Material contamination is nothing but because of the material desires. When a person takes the process of devotional service, the material desires may be there, but slowly and gradually those desires are being replaced with loving desire to satisfy Krishna. So that same desires, which are actually termed as lust, are transformed into love. Kama is turned into prema. So therefore, the conclusion of these verses is that if a person takes the process of devotional service, which begins with hearing and chanting, then he becomes slowly and gradually purified and entitled to become back home, to go back home, back to God. So I think we'll stop here. If anyone has any questions, you may ask. So the easiest way